something big that is happening that we're going to be talking about in our consultants corner is about talent acquisition. And for those of you who follow maybe meme culture or know who Fat Joe is, he has a saying that said, "Yesterday's price is not today's price." And so there's an article in Sherm, love Sherm, and this is the second article from Roy that we featured. So Roy, I think you're a favorite among our folks. But the article that we want to talk about is called "Job Candidates' Expectations Have Changed and How Are Employers Responding." Um, Basically, what's happening in talent acquisition? Why is it taking longer and more dollars to get the right people that organizations need to grow? And we're feeling this on our side. We're feeling it, as we recruit internally, as we recruit for our customers, and so we've got some team members here that are in the thick of it. So I just want to turn the floor over to you all and say, what's going on?
Well, there's a lot going on, Joey, and there's a couple of fun facts that I wanted to share and tee it up for Devin to chat about her take on this, and just kind of set the stage. What has happened? Like, how did we get to where we are today? And it's really simple supply and demand. 4.2 million fewer workers are in the workforce now than before the pandemic. 4.2 million. And that's the lowest that it's been in the past 20 years. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. And why is it costing more to get the right people now? And there's definitely a lot of factors as to why wages have increased, but here's another stat for you. So prior to the pandemic, wages never rose more than 3.5% year over year. Now, of course, these are averages, but it's a great benchmark. And from the period of October 2021 to October of 2020, so over the course of the year, wages rose 4.9%. That's crazy. So here's something to think about. That's just the stat through October. And if you look at how fast those wages have been rising, what do you think they're at now? And so employers are definitely feeling the pinch that wages are rising. There's so fewer workers in the workforce. And what's happening is that employees now want perks and they're leaving jobs for something better. They're receiving multiple offers. And companies are having to learn to move super quick and remove any sort of barriers that were previously slowing down their process. So that's a little bit of why we are here. But Devin, take it away and share your thoughts as well.
Yes, I am definitely feeling the pressure as basically a 95% recruiter here. The way that I am kind of coaching my clients here is candidates are like houses right now. You have to come in, you have to come fast, and sometimes you have to come in sight unseen. You don't have the bandwidth to explore all your options and to take people through an 8-round interview process because in that time, they're going to find something else. But in any time as ever, trying to find that unicorn candidate, the recruiters we're still going to try to adapt to as quickly as we can, get those candidates in and keep them in. And the market is just so crazy, just with everything going on. Inflation is going on the rise, as we all are aware. And that goes for rates as well. People are really looking for that solid compensation, total rewards package. Instead of making a certain amount of money dollar-wise a year, they want perks. They want unique benefits, things that set an organization apart so they have that sense of well-being. And people are realizing their worth and what's really important to them. They just don't want to be with an organization. They want to find somewhere where they're going to really love what they do, love where they work, and love the mission that they're upholding. So things that I'm seeing, you just consistent re-education for our hiring managers. Got to move quick. Got to be smart. Got to be strategic. Keep up that marketing analysis for these new roles that are coming in, and be smart with the algorithms of LinkedIn and Indeed. Change up those job titles and make them pertinent to what people are looking for, and just clear communication and resetting those expectations. It's almost on a daily basis that, hey, we have this person coming in for an interview. Like, let's talk about it. Half hour after you chat, let's take that time to debrief, and not waiting until we interview 5 candidates to make a decision. So just kind of meeting them where they are is super important, but also coaching them in the correct direction is also very important right now too.
Yeah, no, you guys are dropping tons of gems, and we didn't even touch on the fact that, in addition to this being such an aggressive market, um, employers are still battling the reality that there's a lot of attrition that happens within the first 90 days, and so not only do you have to come in tight with your onboarding and recruiting process, you also have to make sure that you are who you say you are as an employer, because in the time of those 90 days, someone could receive another offer and they're like, well, I think that one's better. And so there's no penalty for stepping away from this one to go to the other. So, the reality is it's a tough market. It's a tough market. If you're not feeling it, it's because you're not growing. It's because you're not out there in the mix. And so we help customers by figuring out, what's the strategy that you need to have ahead of time. How can we get to know you as a hiring manager so that we can understand what levers we need to pull with a candidate and with you to make the match. Summer, what other thoughts do you have on this?
Gosh, I think, Devin, you covered so many great points. And, as a recruiter who's doing this on a daily basis, I think the biggest takeaway is just needing to be agile, needing to be open to changing the way that things have been done in the past. And I think that's really what's going to differentiate the companies that are going to get closer to their staffing goals as opposed to those who aren't. So I think right now, as a small business, sometimes it may be a little bit challenging to compete against some of the bigger players. But if you think about, small businesses have the ability to change direction and change processes easier and faster than the larger guys. So, look at what can we shake up with the current process? Think outside the box. Look at ways that you can add those perks that maybe aren't necessarily just salary, because that's a big takeaway from this topic, which is cash is king, but candidates want perks. And if you were to dig into the details of perks that they want, pretty high up on the list is flexibility. So if you're an employer that is requiring everybody to be in the office, and you maybe don't have a a business necessity to do so, I definitely would recommend that you take a look at that and how that factors into not only recruiting but retention as well.
Yeah, yeah, and a few episodes, Summer, we talked about how trusting your gut in Google is not a great HR strategy, um, and we talked about how managers who have now become business owners, or people who are first-time managers, may be thinking back on when they were recruited or the last time they were a part of a search, and there were the 3 rounds, the test, the long process, and we have
Mm-hmm.
to compress that a bit. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we've got 3 experts here on the panel, basically saying you need to have a process that's faster, better, quicker. And if you're not able to do that, then you need to reach out to some experts who can make that happen. Devin, what are some of the things that an employer can do to make the process quicker but more effective? So, what are some of the tips that you're giving to the teams you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think if they are in the situation where they are partnering with an organization like Jumpstart or Jumpstart, hey, all of you who are our Jumpstart team. But I definitely think for those who are partnered with us, being able to just be readily available, whether that's joining a Slack channel, whether that's getting us on your Teams page, whatever that is, so we could get some quick answers. That is definitely a big piece of it. Along with making sure that you guys are available and making that time for those interviews, because I have recently added to all of my screening questions for all of my clients. When can you interview? If they are a good fit after the screen, what are some good times this week that you can interview? And if it's Thursday, Friday, when can you talk, tomorrow or Monday? Being able to make sure that we are setting that slate is super important, and just being available and making that time to get your team support, I definitely think is like my number one pointer.
All right, awesome, awesome. Well, if you're out there in social world, let's give it up for Devin. This is her first foray into the podcast world, and so we want to show some love. But we're bringing this one to a close. I'll let you, Summer and Devin, have any last words. So, any thoughts on any party thoughts on our topics today? We talked about burnout. We talked about talent acquisition strategy. Anything you wanna close the show out with?
Sure thing. I think my parting thoughts when I reflect back on both of the topics today, they are on a similar theme, which is a people first culture and organizations really placing an emphasis on the value of their people. And so, when I think about companies that may not have adopted that strategy fully at this point, it's now is the time. And so I'd really encourage companies to reflect on their values and where people fall in that, and start making some changes if they aren't currently headed in that direction.
All right, what about you, Devin?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Summer wholeheartedly. But another thing, just thinking about it, like we are only finishing up or coming up on our first full quarter here. Now is a good time to reevaluate your first quarter and kind of seeing your cadence, and really invest in your people. And if you want to invest in that change, you have to be real what's going on in the market with your people, and understanding how it's hitting people differently. Um, and just being able to stay up to date on all of these processes, procedures, or if you need help with them, reach out to some of us. That's what we're here for. We're here for your network and we're here to support you. So that's definitely my last tidbits. And I thank y'all for having me. I am super excited to have the opportunity, and hopefully we'll keep seeing each other in the future.